it's a disaster. To live and not know what state of God you are, it's a disaster. To not know your purpose is a tragedy. It's a disaster. You may tomorrow be gone, tomorrow may never come. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up to purposeful living now. In this you will build your soul. In this you will be the difference. In this you will be the answer to the prayers of humanity. In this you will build your soul. In this you will be the difference. In this you will be the answer to the prayers of humanity. To live and not know what state of God you are, it's a disaster. To not know your purpose is a tragedy. It's a disaster. Sunshine, rainfall, have spins, the wind blows, harmony, symphony, purpose. Sunshine, rainfall, have spins, the wind blows, harmony, symphony, purpose. The world is waiting on you. Do you feel free? The world is waiting on you. Shine, oh shine, shining like a star. Oh, shining so bright, yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. You may tomorrow be gone, tomorrow may never come. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up to purposeful living now. In this you will build your soul. In this you will be the difference. In this you will be the answer to the prayers of humanity. In this you will build your soul. In this you will be the difference. In this you will be the answer to the prayers of humanity. To live and not know what's best is a tragedy. It's a disaster. Sunshine, rainfall, have spins, the wind blows, harmony, symphony, purpose. Sunshine, rainfall, have spins, the wind blows, harmony, symphony, purpose. The world is waiting on you. Do you feel free? The world is waiting on you. Shine, oh shine, shining like a star. Oh, shining so bright, yeah. Ooh. And not know what
To live and not know your purpose is a disaster.
To know your purpose is a tragedy. It's a disaster.
That is Purpose song from Fafa. And when you hear this tune, it certainly tells you where we are.
It's a disaster.
Mentoring Hour. Coming your way from One-to-One Mentoring Network.
Know your purpose is a tragedy.
It's a body coming together to awaken the God presence in all of life.
May tomorrow be gone.
Oh, I love what they do.
Tomorrow may never come. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Shaping us
to purposeful living now.
To awaken to purposeful living.
This you will build your soul. In this you will be the difference.
Well, tomorrow you may be gone.
Be the answer to
so this is the moment to awaken yourself to purposeful living.
In this you will build.
I love this tune so much.
In this you will be.
Today we're back once again on Mentoring Hour. And it promises to be a very beautiful day. An amazing one, of course.
And I know
because we have a very distinguished guest this morning.
It's a disaster.
We are going to share in her story so that we can equally awaken to purposeful living in our lives.
Sunshine, rainfall, half spins.
As you know, my name remains Papa Smiley. And in a few seconds, we will be welcoming our guest. Sit tight, get a glass of water.
Half spins. Wind blows
and get ready to be amazed.
Symphony, purpose. The world is waiting on you. Do you feel free? The world is waiting on you. Shine, oh shine.
Of course, we have to shine like a star. And even if you can, shine beyond the star. A big welcome to you once again to Mentoring Hour. And as I told you, today we have a very distinguished guest. And, when I read a little bit about what she's done so far, yes. Because looking at what she's done so far, I can only imagine that greater heights await her. And when I read through her bio, I said, wow, what an amazing soul. I hope I get the pronunciation very well, because it's a typical and a wonderful organic African name. Izegbua Okunya is a very distinguished London-based lawyer, and she has over 25 years of international experience in the technology, energy, and telecoms sector. Already excited, isn't it? She is a senior leader in a leading global energy services company. Well, she's also a certified non-executive director and a board advisor. Her extensive career has been marked by a deep passion for corporate strategy, risk management, coaching, and mentoring, through which she has successfully built and led global high-performance teams. Recognized as a global culture shaper and enterprise leader, Izegbua coaches executives, seniors, leaders, and business owners to transform the way they collaborate and build strong, diverse teams to achieve corporate goals. That's amazing. Izegbua's commitment to professional development is exemplified by her involvement with various NGOs dedicated to empowering and advocating for greater representation of women and minority groups in leadership positions in both the public and private sectors. She actively mentors, inspires, and empowers women and men to excel in their careers and achieve their leadership aspirations in leadership aspirations. Right. In addition to her professional accomplishment, Ezegua is dedicated to her family. That's very important. A happily married and a proud mother of three wonderful children. Wow. I can only imagine how amazing that family is going to be. That is the guest that we have for today. And with a little that we have heard of her, we will be tapping into her story to be encouraged. Her story should be a catalyst to all of us to rise to our God purpose and our God awareness. Without much ado, let's welcome, I don't know, Mrs. Okunya. I'm very certain to today's program. Good morning, madam.
Good morning, Papa Smiley.
How are we doing?
We're doing very well, and
Wow.
I must commend you because you pronounced my name perfectly.
Thank you very much. Well, I think they should have also added to your biography that you have a wonderful smile as well.
Oh, okay. So I'm taking a cue from your name, and I'm also Isabel Konya Smiley. Thank you for
Wow,
the compliment.
wow. Thanks for making time for us this morning. Can you
You're
hear me?
welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I can hear you, and thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be on this program. I've listened to it over the years, so I'm happy to be on this hot seat with you.
Yes. So it's a cool pleasure, isn't it? It's a cool pleasure.
Yes, it is. Good pleasure.
Well, I must say your little bio is very impressive. Uh-huh. You've been in service for over 25 years and still counting, isn't it?
And still counting, still
Wow,
counting.
wow. Tell us a little bit more. How did it all start? How did it all start? Because in fact, this has to be a book in itself. So tell us, how did it all start? A woman. I'm very certain from Africa, isn't it?
Yes, I'm from Nigeria, proudly Nigerian, but
Excellent.
interestingly, I have Ghanaian roots.
Ah,
My grandmother is Ghanaian, so I have Ghanaian blood.
wow.
Quite, yes, I'm
And
from
it
Cape
is it,
Coast, so
uh,
proudly Nigerian.
Nigerian, right? So you understand it is yeah.
It's to say enough.
Ah,
And I was in Ghana for a while, so I picked up a few of the things, but don't test me here because I don't want to
I,
feel
I, I,
woefully.
I won't push you any further. Yeah, I won't push you any further. So tell us, how did it all start? Okay, so that we will know because sometimes many people feel, oh, these individuals who have succeeded, they had it all rosy among other things. Tell us, how did it all start?
Okay, so I'll talk about my career very briefly, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I'll just hinge on one point here to say when we talk about success, it's not a destination; it's an ongoing journey. So anyone that's listening should not think that there's something that has been completely achieved. We're still on a learning journey, and one of the my key principle is to be a constant learner. So let me put it out there. So anyone thinking that it's too far, it's not achievable, we're still learning and still growing. So in terms of my career, I started off in Lagos, Nigeria, and I stumbled into law because in high school I was actually going in for the medical profession, and I have a lot of medical friends that may be listening on the call. So I was going to be a dentist, and somehow or the other I chickened out, and last minute I joined law. So eventually, I did my legal degree in Nigeria, in Ibadan to be precise, and then went into private practice, one of the leading law firms in Lagos. I did that for about 4 years, and I realized that going to court and donning the wig and gown perhaps wasn't quite my cup of tea. So I then went in house into a downstream energy company, and started learning how to work in the corporate space. And over time, I moved into different roles. I moved into telecoms, so worked in one of the largest telecommunications company in Africa. And I think one of the key things I would say as you start your journey is to remain curious. right? And understand that your journey is not necessarily a linear path, it's not a straight line. Your journey would have some curves, it will have you testing and challenging yourself to know whether or not something is right for you. Like I said, I started off in private practice, I did litigation, I went to court. I found out that that wasn't for me. I went in house and did it in the energy sector. And the curiosity and the willingness to learn. I had the opportunity to move around in different roles within that short time I was there. So that's where I had my first stint of working with boards. So I was supporting the company secretary at the time. So I had the opportunity to see the way the corporate strategy is formed. And then I had the opportunity to then move into telecoms. And in telecoms, yeah, I got the opportunity to work with multiple subscribers. Then you understand that when you're doing your job, you're not just working for yourself, but you actually have stakeholders. So when you have 1 million plus subscribers and you're having to deal with different issues, it makes you think with a lot of empathy, understanding the other person's perspective, understanding where you fit in as a lawyer. Because many people are thinking, as a lawyer, you don't understand the business. So for those are the lawyers on the call, understanding how you fit into the business, how can you support, how can you remain curious and teachable? At that time, I then got the opportunity to lead a team for the first time. So it's not just now doing my work and my boss being happy with me. It's actually understanding how to inspire, mentor, and coach people on your team. So that's another skill set that helped me in my journey to understand how to manage people, not just manage them like assets, but actually lead them. And then you lead with empathy. You understand the dynamics of your team. You understand what each person's strengths and weaknesses are, and know how to support them and organize your team. And I did that for a while. I had an opportunity to come to Ghana at that time to work on what at that time the company was establishing a joint venture. That's when I had my first stint at establishing joint ventures, which is another level of understanding the business world, not just people that are familiar with you, but actually dealing with other organizations. So you look at cultural integration at that point. So how do you integrate two cultures into achieving business goals? And then all of that led me to moving into the oil services business, which I've been in for a while now. And once again, it's understanding the toolbox of skills that you have. So what are the skills that you've developed over time? So once you start off your career, you may be doing some very basic tasks, then you build up into leading people, and then you build up into engaging with external stakeholders. Then you might cross industries. So like you mentioned in my bio, I've done a number of industries. So people may think, how do you move across industries? It's a toolbox of skills, what we call transferable skills. So what are those skills that you have that can transfer into any environment? And those ones I talk about things like building your communication skills, your people skills, your ability to pivot. That's a word that we use a lot. How do you change direction and maintain strategic focus, things like that. So that's what I think that's what has led me over time. And in this role, I've had to work with diverse stakeholders in a new industry, understanding new stakeholders. So when you're working with engineers, you then understand that lawyers have you deal with other professionals that are equally smart or even smarter. So once again, understanding what value you bring to your role and how do you express that value by your own unique perspective, and then everybody working together to achieve the company goals. Over time, I've moved out of Africa, so I did the job in Nigeria for a while, covered sub-Saharan Africa. Then now I moved into London, and then once again, it's another new skill that you have to learn. So now I've talked about learning how to do your technical skills, how to manage people, how to deal with stakeholders and other organizations. Now I'm talking about how to deal with different cultures. So these are all the things that you gather in your career journey. And so now coming into the UK and dealing with a different environment, different culture, so you bring out another skill set there, which is broadening your mindset and understanding cultural differences. How do you bring your own authentic self to the workplace and also be able to show that you're bringing value? So that's where we're talking about diversity topics. So how do you show your diverse skills and how that helps you to manage the experience in the workplace? I think I've talked about the journey, so I'm not yet there. I'm still on that journey, but all the skills have to do with understanding people, building your skills, excellent communication, empathy, and then just continuous learning. And I will stop there, and maybe you can ask more questions.
Of course, you need to stop there. Because you said a lot, and it buttresses the fact that you are truly an internationally distinguished lawyer, right? And you said a few things that you said, as you said, you bumped into law. Initially, you wanted to be a dentist, right?
Yes, I'm not sure I wanted to be. I was quite inspired by my father at the time. So
Ah,
I was relatively young. I left school early. I started my university at 15. So you can imagine at that point in time, I really didn't. I was more inspired by what my parents were nudging me towards. But yes,
so more or less, it was to do with satisfying, your parents.
you know how it is in Africa, right?
Of course, of
If you're
course.
not a
I know,
doctor,
I know,
dentist,
I know.
doctor,
Mm-hmm,
lawyer, or accountant,
mm-hmm,
what are you doing,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. And I felt in your exposition that because you discovered what you truly love to do, that is why you are excelling so much, right? It's like a goalkeeper uh, who is not being played in the goalpost, but being asked to play as a striker. He wouldn't be able to function very well. But the very moment he gets into the goalpost, he or she will do the very best. But I picked one thing from what you said. You said you have to be curious when you start your journey. But have you heard the saying that curiosity kills the cat?
I've heard this. I've heard that definitely. And I guess that must be, it depends on what context that curiosity is. That
Mm-hmm.
cat that is being killed is going to where it's not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting himself in a dangerous spot. But on a more serious note, I'm eternally curious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the curiosity comes from understanding, don't, not to being too narrow and not being too restricted in what you can experience. And that curiosity helps you to, like I said, helps you to discover different skills and helps you to understand your stakeholders. I think it's important to understand stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
And so in your career, you need to be curious enough to understand the why. Why are you doing what you're doing, and why does the business need you to do what you're doing? I think that's the curiosity. It also helps you to engage in self-discovery. So what are the kind of skills that you can contribute to whatever you're doing in your workplace? And we have a lot of skills. Some of us hide some of our skills. Like you mentioned, a striker may be in the wrong position as a midfielder or a goalkeeper. Sometimes you may need to do a few of those rounds to understand exactly where it is you're going to focus your energy. But there might be some skills that you have that will bring value to the organization. So that's what I talk about, being curious about what you can do and what the company needs you to do, and being able to bring some of those skills. In some cases, I mentioned that I'm a coach and a mentor. That's not necessarily a legal skill, but those are things that allow you to contribute even more to an organization.
Hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting indeed. Um, you spoke about virtually everything that we need to do in order to excel in our work environment, right? We understanding the environment within which we find ourselves. We're dealing with different cultures, among other things. You being able to satisfy all stakeholders, that is very very important. It will certainly make you advance. But I'll take you through your journey once again. You see, they say we belong to the minority, isn't it?
Yeah,
Excellent, excellent. So obviously, you may have, and now you are in London, isn't it? United Kingdom.
I'm in London. Yes,
Excellent,
United
excellent,
Kingdom. Yes.
excellent, excellent. Has there ever been some challenges as you try to be curious, as you try to express what you are in various places that you've been to?
Yeah, there are always challenges, right? And when you talk about being the minority, it's about when you have like a more, obviously once you come into the UK, you're not a nationality, but we know that the Black Africans are minority, and there might be rooms where you don't find anybody that looks like you. Um, that could be a challenge. There could be times where people may not really understand the value that you bring. That can be a challenge. There could be times where people don't even believe that your skills are adding value. That's another challenge. And then sometimes you might deal with what we call microaggressions, and sometimes there might be open aggressions. That's another challenge. But I think like going back to what I said before is really having a good sense of self. And I think everybody has to understand who you are. When people ask you who are you and you start to describe yourself by what you do, you may need to go back and understand who are you. Once you have a good sense of self, then you can enter those rooms and feel value, self-validation, because you know who you are. You cannot eliminate the incidents of people maybe being unappreciative or unfriendly, but it's all about what can you control. So what can you control? You can control your excellence. That's one thing I tell people. You have to be excellent without necessarily asking anybody to make you excellent. Be excellent. It's at what you do. I'm now used to being the only woman, probably, and most likely the only black in a room, and I'm comfortable. Right, I'm comfortable as in my role. I don't even notice it again. That I might be the only black woman in a room filled up with everyone else, but doesn't nobody looks like me. But I don't dim my voice. I don't lower my voice, and I don't shout. But your excellence will speak for you. And then that curiosity I talked about is about if people see that you're the one and only, there's curiosity on their side. They might not show it. So you should have that openness to be able to make those connections. And then people, because most of the time, it's not out of malice, it's out of not knowing, So if they know you, they can see you as someone that is just like them. I have a lot of colleagues that are from many nationalities from South America, America. So Russia, we get to meet diversely, and they always want common threads. You have commonalities. If I'm a mother, they are mothers. If they're dealing with school issues, they're dealing with school issues. So there comes common threads that you can always find a common topic with. It's not always about race, right? And then on the more, if we want to be more specific into race discussions, if you find yourself in the room, you have also a duty to bring somebody else into the room. So what are you doing to bring more people into that space that you're in? And that's why one-to-one mentoring is a very good platform. I'm part of it. I love what they're doing in the mentoring group. But you also have to figure out how do you make sure that when you're there, you're not the one and only. And so that way you can be an advocate for minorities. You can be a representation of what is positive about the minority group. And then understanding that minority, well, we're in Black History Month, but there are other minorities. So how do you then make sure that everybody understands that we're all one human race, but we can all perform excellently. We can all contribute to topical issues. In my current role, I've established a mentoring program where internally, where you then create a platform where other people get the opportunity to get into those rooms and have those conversations with people that they normally would get the opportunity to do. So, like I said, there's the challenge, but it's about your response and your knowledge of who you are and what you bring to the table, and that always helps. You know, it won't eliminate it, but it really helps.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
It's not about the challenge, but it's how you respond. I love that. Many a time people react.
They react.
Yes, but I love it. As you said it, it's about how you respond. You said you should have a good sense of self, right? Who you are. How can one get to know who they are? How do you go about that? Can you take us through some practical steps so that I myself I will know who am
Who
I?
you are.
Yes.
You have to be very, you have to spend a lot of time on self-assessment. I think one of the things that we tend to run away from is being able to be quiet in a very noisy world. So I'm an introvert by default, so I spend a lot of time in my head thinking. But I mean, for even the extroverts or whatever personality type you are, you have to spend some time understanding, like stepping back and having some quiet time and really understanding who are you, what are your passions, what drives you, what is your why? So if you ask me, Izebua, who are you? I'll tell you that I'm a people person. I love people. I love to make connections. I love to understand people and bring people together. So that's one of my key things. So when you know that if you come into a room, for example, and you're the minority, you can use those skills to bring people together. That's who you are. So that becomes like your superpower in that space. There are a lot of people and especially in this social media age, you see a lot of profiles everywhere on LinkedIn, and you see somebody being celebrated here, and you're thinking, I want to be that person. You don't have the same journey, so you can borrow from people's experiences and say that you want to try and forge a path around that direction. But you also have to be authentic to yourself, because if you're chasing a direction that is not yours, you would end up burning out. So one thing is to understand what drives, what are your passions, so you don't get burnt out. Because keeping up with the Joneses, like we said, it's going to exhaust you. So other things you can do to discover who you are, like I said, self-reflection. uh, you have opportunities to speak with people. Sometimes you may have blind spots and you don't really know that. So what you intend to be is not what you're presenting. So you have an opportunity through mentorship and coaching and having people around you, and be open to receive feedback can help you to also get a sense of what you may think you are, but you're not actually manifesting that. What else would you use in getting to know who you are, and then embracing who you are actually, so embracing who you are. So there's some things you cannot change. You can't change the color of your skin. You can't change your background, because those are things in the past. You can't change your nationality, so embrace that. Embrace the fact that you're a minority. Embrace the fact that you're wherever culture you're. Like I said, I'm proudly Nigerian. Embrace the fact that your background is whatever it is. It could be your current situation, it could be your family status. Embrace that, and don't allow it to limit you or define you. So I think that's another thing to think about. So there's no perfect biography.
Mm-hmm.
Their strengths and their weaknesses, but embrace what it is and make the best of it, because you never know that when you think yours is the most challenging, just go out into the streets and ask somebody for their story, and you realize that everybody has their own challenge. So I think that's the third thing I'll say, is to embrace who you are. So where did I start from? Self reflection. When you have that self-reflection, and get some trusted feedback to make sure that what you're perceiving of yourself is not skewed, and you can see your blind spots, and then embracing your current situation. Control what you can control, and what you can't control, let it go.
Hmm. Wow. I think you should add being a pastor to the things that you do.
Okay, I'm a Christian actually, so maybe
Ah,
that is manifest.
I
There's some
didn't, I
things you
didn't,
can't change.
I didn't want to ask that one, but once you said that one, you are a Christian. Mm-hmm. And has that also contributed to where you've gotten to so far?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Because there's some timeless truths that we have, and they come with our faith. And whatever it is that you learn through your faith, and for me particularly with my Christianity, it's actually to model excellence, and understanding that there's certain things that are beyond your control. The supremacy of God is something that you cannot challenge. I only know today. I only know this moment. So my journey is to make sure that when I do pass away and stand before my maker, I can say that I've lived a life that has been pleasing. Not perfect, pleasing, but making sure that I'm living on the fundamental values that I have, which is to, like I said, that comes from the charge to love your neighbor. So curiosity comes from that, and then love your God, which is making sure that I leave my place a better place to the best of my ability.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you give a very beautiful answer or explanation to how one would be able to discover the self, right? And I love your explanation, and it ties in very well with what I've also come to learn. You see, for the wave to understand what it is as a wave, it needs to go back to the ocean and understand that, oh, that is where I emerged from. See, when we as human beings we come to understand where we have emerged from, it helps us to be able to appreciate ourselves, right? You being a Christian, you know, Scripture will just affirm the fact that we were created in the spiritual image and the likeness of God. So we have emerged of God. And when you operate from that angle, from that reference point, oh, you are God in expression. You are magnificent in expression, and that is exactly what you have expressed to us this very very morning. I love you so much. Oh, I'm just loving it. Well, we have Stephanie Adeyemi also coming with a question. I'll just read it out for you to address it before we carry on with our own conversation. How do you overcome imposter syndrome? How do you overcome imposter syndrome?
Stephanie, thank you for that question because all of us face imposter syndrome at different stages. So it could be that you're doing something new. It could be that you're in a new environment. So just understand that first of all, it's healthy to feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. That means that you're aware of your desire to excel, and so there's a little bit of fear not to fail, right? So I don't want us to think of imposter syndrome as if it's a complete negative, like it's only it diminishes you, but it actually propels you to understand, okay, why am I feeling unsafe or why am I feeling insecure here? And so to overcome it is actually coming back to knowing your why and what do you bring to the table, and really making sure that you're building upon that and telling yourself the right things. So avoiding limiting beliefs. And I've had to go through this journey and I go through the journey very regularly. So I'm not completely imposter free. But it's really understanding what do you bring to the table. So you can say, okay, you know what, if I go into my self-analysis, what are my key strengths? I know I'm very organized. So say all those things to yourself, repeat them to yourself that I'm awesome, I'm excellent, I'm able to do this, I've achieved this, I've achieved that. So I have a right to be here. Now, once you get to the point where you're telling yourself, I have a right to be here, then you then start to build your right to use your voice. So in whatever situation, sometimes we get worried that if we're in a group of people that seem to know it all, then if we say something, we don't want to look like we're not uninformed or a silly question. I would say just ask it anyway. Just say it anyway. And you never know because everybody else on that table is actually having a similar thought. So nobody, even the CEOs, everybody has their own concerns. That's why you have a group of people that you can bounce around ideas to. Some other things that make you feel a sense of imposter syndrome, like I said, if you feel like you're the minority in the room, you're bringing value. You're actually bringing diversity to that room. So share your story and share it, with authenticity. That everybody is different, but there are always common threads there. Another area where I've had to work on is public speaking. So, Stephanie, if, for example, you're thinking, oh, I feel so afraid when I'm on stage and my voice shakes, that's fine. Let your voice shake, but pass your message across anyway, because if you have the next conversation, your voice will be stronger. And if you keep on doing it, it becomes much stronger. I was mentoring somebody, and for the past 10 months, we've been in a mentoring program. And the initial conversation she had was about public speaking and how she had imposter syndrome and was always afraid to speak. And her voice was shaken. I was like, well, that's fine because my voice shakes too. It doesn't really matter. Just pass on your story. So, like last week, she just sent me a note and a video showing how she was sitting on a panel with the CEOs and she was talking with so much confidence and she was so happy. But she had to go through that journey of understanding that, look, these are the mental um, exercises you have to take, and these are the positive words you have to say to yourself that I can do it. Even if I shake, I will do it. So it's healthy to have it, but to overcome it is by practicing. And I hope that has answered your question.
Well, I'm certain Stephanie is it's okay with your answer. You
Okay.
in your answer, you said limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Limiting beliefs. Where do they come from? Where do they originate from?
Yeah. It's
Uh,
just it's the mind. The mind. You know how the mind can play tricks on you. It could be your perception of what is real or what is true.
mhm,
Your perception of what you can do.
mhm,
Those are the limiting beliefs. So sometimes you have to just take a hold of your mind. Your mind starts it all really. What do you tell your mind? What do you say to yourself? So if you say to yourself, I don't belong here, then your mind will say you don't belong here and your body will follow it. Right. So it's about trying to make sure that we're intentional about what we're thinking. And
mhm,
then some people may actually can be things that you've heard over time. So in some cases you maybe you've heard some words over time.
mhm,
You say to yourself, well, I'm from a tribe that is small, and we have all those examples, or I'm from a disadvantaged background, or I've never been rich, whatever it is that we're saying. or I have a disability, or I have a limitation. Anything that we say to ourselves, but it's about saying to yourself, what can I do? And is this really true? So testing any thought that comes to you. Yeah, so those are, and then it could be circumstances. It could be that it's not like you have any of those backgrounds, or something happened to you that crushed you emotionally or physically. It's a journey, but I mean, the mind is where it starts from, and we just need to make sure that we're feeding the mind with positive information so that we can achieve our highest potential.
Okay, all right.
That's why it's an ongoing journey.
It's
It
it's
never
it's
ends.
it's, it's, it's an ongoing journey, and I love that. Listening to you, I think one thing that comes to mind is you always have to be solidified in your source. Now, listening to you also very well. You say you made some examples. Okay, I'm from this tribe, I'm from this culture, I'm from this place, and we are this, we are that. If you limit yourself as to that being your source, then you'll have such beliefs, right? But when you come to realize that it is one single light passing through the prism that has burst into a spectrum of colors, you always look at the single light from which you have come from, your source, right? And from your source, you being a Christian, God is omnipotent, is all powerful, is all creative, right? So instead of you looking at yourself from that small corner where you emerged from, look at it from that huge source that brought itself here as you. In fact, you should be a pastor. You should be a pastor.
Those were your words, Papa Smiley. You're the one that's the pastor in this room.
You are. You should be a pastor. Yes, I love. I love. I love your message this very morning. Now let's ask. Let me ask you. I know you said when you were young you wanted to, perhaps I'll put it this way, please your parents as to the direction that you wanted to go. Are you trying to just woo your children whatsoever to also follow your steps, or they have their own path?
Oh, oh my God, they have their own path. Their path is so unique. It's unbelievable. No, so I am not wooing them. I think let me change. Let me clarify. So my parents were not. They were not overbearing, and they were not insistent. They were suggestive.
Okay.
So I'm the one that wanted to be okay. Let me just make sure. So they were never overbearing. They never insisted on anything, which is good. And for me as a mother, I've also had to deal with my children differently because they have their own different needs. And with motherhood, I've learned. In fact, I don't think I could have learned any lessons as well as I have as a mother with my children and their unique um, profiles. So no, they're not showing my path. In fact, I've had to adapt my way of being to the way my children are in terms of their development. So no, I'm not pushing them at all. I'm just making sure that each person has their individual outcomes, and I support them to the best of their abilities. And I've had to learn to be nimble
Mm-hmm.
in my thinking as I'm raising my children. So
Okay.
yes, I hope that answers your
That's
question.
good. Well, on that score, I'll ask specifically if anyone wants to try and follow the same path that you've been on. Any advice for them?
But well, like I said, my path hasn't been very straight. So if we have lawyers that are on the call that want to expand their skills beyond maybe just one particular skill, I would say just be curious, understand what you want to be, and learn a lot about your industry. Learn a lot about what drives your company strategy and focus on that. Be a people centric person. Understand that you're not dealing with items, you're dealing with people. So understand people, be curious, be collaborative, be not just curious and collaborative, but really add value from your skills. If you're looking at it from a personal point of view, as a parent, you understand that parenting is like the real job. So understand your children. You might have children that have diverse needs, really supporting them along their journey and understanding that you're a caretaker for your children, and ultimately you can only do the best that you can for them. And prayerfully raise them. If you want to be someone that's working with a board or advising a board, you have to be really curious about corporate governance, be able to stand in a room with a lot of agility, and being able to see a big picture approach to your work. And then finally, if you want to be a coach and a mentor, you have to be someone that is trustworthy and keep on building that trust. So you don't have to have the title as coach and mentor to do that. Always add value to people that you're working around with. Share your story. People will come at different stages in their growth and their career. Share your story and don't make it seem as if it was easy for you. Share those war stories of when you got it wrong, and make sure that the path is easier for the next person that is coming behind you. So those are the things I would say in terms of if you want to keep on building success upon success, and trust God in everything that you do, because we only have this moment, so we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But make sure that your legacy is very strong, so that people will be happy that they met you, and they'll be better for it.
Thank you so much. Stephanie came back again, right? She picked on one thing that you said, an introvert, and this is what she's asking:
Yes.
how do you build the courage to put yourself forward for opportunities, to network as a naturally introverted person?
Yeah, that's really work in progress. So putting yourself forward for opportunities. I think sometimes opportunities may come to you, and you may not necessarily have to put yourself forward, but you should be able to speak with trusted people. I don't know if I mentioned that in your group of people, you may have people that are your sponsors, your mentors, your managers. If you feel safe enough, just let them know what your aspirations are. You don't necessarily have to be very specific that I want to be the CEO or whatever. You can say broadly, these are your aspirations, and let them know. And then also start to build those skills that position you to be um, viable for that next role that you have in mind. As an introvert, I'm proudly introverted. I don't apologize for that. But as introverts, we have some very strong strengths that are so useful now. The ability to think strategically, you're able to notice things when people are talking. You can see between the lines. You're able to think long term, very organized. So you have to first of all understand that being an introvert is not a bad thing. So it's what are all those strengths that you bring as an introvert, and then if you're more comfortable in small groups, then find those small groups you can talk with, and then if you have a group of 2 3 people, let them then keep on adding to your group, and you can expand it. And you don't have to network in the what would be a typical way of networking. Networking doesn't have to be loud or overwhelming, which is what most likely happens with introverts, just getting too overwhelmed by the energy in the room. So you can still network authentically. You don't have to be the center of attention, but once you're networking is all about having a proper conversation, a good connection that can yield, mutual benefit. So that's what networking is. It's not just taking your business card everywhere and having so many business cards that you're not keeping up with, but making some solid connections on with the interactions that you have. And before you know it, you have people who are coming to you asking to have conversations with you, because when they were in that room, they felt that you listened, which is the strength of introverts, that they felt heard. So people like to be listened to and heard. So you find out that you're building more of your networks that way. And then as much as you can, just try and put yourself in spaces that you feel comfortable, doing things. So wherever you find your comfort level, then use that as a way to build your network and find opportunities that match with your style.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, before we go back to Stephanie again, how do you deal with disappointment?
Depends on what the disappointment is, but for me, I just try to move past it. I give myself a bit of time to mourn the disappointment, but I'm one of those people that I like to keep moving. I keep moving because I feel that wherever my destination is, I'm going to get there. So I try to not let that disappointment define me, and rewrite the story. So if, for example, I wanted to get, let me give you an example. I wanted a particular space or a particular role, or I wanted to do something in particular and it didn't work out. I don't, you don't want to find yourself sitting in a pool, just saying, "Oh, if only I had somebody to carry me to the, the story we have in the Bible of I'm just sitting down here waiting 38 years for somebody to move me to the riverfront or whatever." No, so it's about really being understanding that if there's a disappointment here, it doesn't mean that your destination has moved. So if you want to get somewhere, just find a way to move, or like I mentioned before, you can pivot and do something different. So there's some disappointments that cannot be changed. So you can have a scenario where there's been an accident and something has changed in your life, a disability, long-term health concern, is to kind of manage it as much as possible to the best of your ability and not let it define you. Because sometimes people get stuck on what has been lost and don't realize that there are other things that can be gained from that situation. So that's the way I think, and that's how I deal with disappointments.
Well, certainly disappointments will always be around us.
Yes.
And I love it as you said, don't be defined by your disappointments, right? Do not be defined by your disappointment. And it takes you back to what you said, knowledge of yourself, right? So define your disappointment by what you are or who you are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Well, Stephanie is on you today. So she comes once again.
Stephanie.
How do you
Okay.
balance having a family and a career? Is there ever a point where one takes priority over the other?
Yes. My family always comes first. I think that's for me. Uh, at the end of the day, that doesn't mean I'm avoiding work, but in terms of the hierarchy, my family stability, my family well-being always comes first. In terms of making sure that when I'm thinking about what I'm doing next, it's also there's a strong consideration about the family impact. And then in terms of balancing, I think the word balance makes it seem as if, like a seesaw, that one has to be up and the other one is down at some point in time. So I prefer to use how do you integrate your work and family. So family integration, so that it's not like one is down and one is up. It's like everything is kind of like matched somehow. So I'm very blessed to have a very understanding husband who supports me 100%. So the main thing is to make sure that there's always that conversation ongoing in terms of decisions that are happening to make with the career. If I try my best not to miss any key milestone for my children. So whether it's a school play, meetings, or I try to be there all the time, because there's some periods where you know that you can't get back. The time when the children are still looking for you and calling your name. So I want to look back and say that I was there and I made some lasting memories for them. um, you'll be blessed with having an organization that believes in work-life balance, prioritizes that. So the organizations I've worked with, I've had companies that are very focused on making sure that there's good work-life balance as part of the values of the organization. I've been an understanding manager. I've been blessed to have understanding managers too. How do you make sure that, and then when you look back on it, your children will feed off of what you show. If they see that even though you're there for them, you are also equally committed to your work and doing it excellently, they actually learn from that. So I think it's also being a role model for the children that, look, I can be here for you, but also I can be at my desk working, and you understand that you should be at your desk doing your homework. So it's really trying to model the right behaviors for them, and that's the balance we talk about. And also getting their input when you have to make decisions, so that there's nothing that is really going to be breaking the family down because you're working. So that's how it has been so far. I know for others it might be a bit more challenging, but it's good to make sure that your family understands that you prioritize them.
Thank you very much, and I hope Stephanie is also learning from that. I don't know if she started a family already, or she's waiting to start her own. Thank you so much. Well, you sound very knowledgeable, having so much skills. Are you seeking to enter into Nigerian politics to help Nigeria?
I'm so bad in politics, no, but I don't have to be in the political sphere at the global level, but it's in your conversations, right? So you practice what you want to see scaling up to the top of the country's leadership. So in my political realm will be doing what I want my country to be known for. And so I said I represent Nigeria in everything that I do. So that hopefully that also translates to the next Nigerian that I talk to. So no, not formal politics, but living the values that I know that Nigeria stands for.
Okay, all right.
Africa as a whole, actually.
Well, it would have been great to have you as the president of Nigeria, President Okunya. Yeah.
There's so many more better qualified people in that role, and we'll support them. The main thing we need to do as patriotic Nigerians and patriotic Africans is to make sure that we support our governments and whoever is in leadership to make sure that we can continue to build our nation and give back to the nation in terms of skills and industry building, all of those things. That's what we're focused on. So it's everybody has their role to play in governance, and that's the role I'll be playing.
Thank you so much. Well, as a lawyer, do you still do pro bono?
That question sounds a bit suspicious. Oh no, I like to share knowledge. So anything that I can share, I do share. I believe in giving out a lot of knowledge, so it helps the next person. But I don't know in terms of pro bono, I don't practice actively. I'm not a practicing lawyer, but anyway, I can share skills. I do share. I do all these learning platforms and share as much as I can.
Thank you very much for that. Well, if you were listening, you know how to get in touch with Izebua, right? She's part of one-to-one mentoring network. She says she loves to share knowledge. She's not she doesn't practice the law, going to court for you. No. But hey, when she has the information or the knowledge, she will share with you. But hey, don't think it's pro bono, so you won't give out anything. you have to be ready to do that. I would say I have seriously enjoyed our conversation this morning. Your journey has, as you said, hasn't been a straight one. It comes with curves. It comes with corners. It comes with bumps. But in all these, you have been defined by yourself, right? You don't let the opinions of others define who and what you are. You have a very supportive family. You look at what you seek to achieve. You seek to be of value to wherever that you find yourself. I love that. You seek to be impactful. You seek to be very supportive. That is what excellence is all about. You have stood out so far, and my prayer is for you to stand out more. Stand
Amen.
out more, and stand out more. Before you leave, your final words to especially the very ones who are seriously struggling to express their excellence wherever they find themselves.
I, Parting word is if you are struggling to express yourself where you are, find those rooms that would take you in. If you don't find a room or you don't find a door, build a room, right? Build one where you start to impact. So sometimes we want to receive, but what are you giving out? So in those cases, find a small group that you can start to influence. That's like a ripple effect. So you drop a stone in the middle, it starts to spread out. So influence what you can influence. When you find yourself struggling with maybe a tough environment, maybe a very difficult manager, if you're in the workplace, speak with a mentor. Speak with somebody that can share some tools with you on how to manage that, and express curiosity, because sometimes that person that seems to be aggressive, just you can find that little thing that changes the conversation from reaction to being responsive, to say, look, what is it that may be happening here that I'm not seeing? And then what else would I want to just continue building your skills and excellent skills, build your skills, broaden your networks. engage with other people, understand what it is that you want to do, and make sure that you're in the right space. I think that's what I can say for now. A lot of it we've already talked about in the course of the program, but I think those will be my parting words. And believe in yourself. Don't be limited in any way.
I wanted to let you go, but you made mention of a beautiful nugget once again. You want to receive, but what are you giving out? Right? And that is very, very important. In all instances, we all look at what we want to receive, thinking less of what we are giving out. In our workplaces, one day you would want to become a boss. You would want to own a huge company. But in that small corner that you find yourself, what are you giving out over there? Are you giving out integrity? Are you giving out honesty? Right? Are you being serviceable? We at least think about these things. So I love it so much when you said you want to receive, but what are you giving out? And it also works with the one basic law of life, the law of cause and effect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I have loved it so much. And so you don't have any hobbies. You don't do dancing. You don't do Afro beats.
I could if I want to, if I have to. my hobbies are, like I mentioned, coaching and mentoring, but I love to read, and I like to have a very good conversation like we've had this morning. Mm-hmm. So, and I do dance. Actually, I dance very well when I do get the chance. Mm-hmm. when I'm in my extroverted stage.
Well, you have to, as you said, you need to balance it, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy some Burna Boy, enjoy some Davido and the rest. Okay. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
We hope to come along another time, because what you said, we need to elaborate it more and get it down to digestible units so that everyone will be able to appreciate it the more. Thank you so much, and continue.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Have a good day.
And you too. Bye bye. That is how we end it today.
State of God you are.
I must say I have enjoyed the conversation.
To not know your purpose is a tragedy.
Every line
It's a disaster.
was filled with power, filled with wisdom.
To live and not know what state of God you are.
Yes, you can see I'm balancing myself around here too. A big thank you to One-to-One Mentoring Network.
Know your purpose is a tragedy.
The body seeking to bring the very best out of everyone.
You may tomorrow be gone.
And a big thank you to Izegwa Okunya.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up
for her time spent with us today.
That in this you will build your soul.
Per what she is,
you will be the difference.
An hour should cost us more, isn't it?
The answer to the prayers of.
But she did it on pro bono, right? Hopefully very soon we'll come again with another edition of Mentoring Hour. My name, Papa Smiley.
To the prayers of humanity.
I'm out. Bye bye.
And I know what state of God you are. It's a disaster. To not know your purpose is a tragedy. It's a disaster. Sunshine, rainfall, half spins, the wind blows, harmony, symphony.